Barrister Mbeseha, over to you now. Imposing these taxes on Ambazonians and giving them receipts, would you say is a Judas Iscariot's kiss? Because looking at the whole scenario, afterwards, these same persons are apprehended, kidnapped for ransom. Because it looks like a Judas Iscariot's kiss to identify those who identify themselves as Ambazonians to be spotted easy by the colonial military. Or what would you say is the rationale behind this collaboration and connivance?
Let me say this. You see, we've talked at length on this tax issue by ADF. What concerns us today is the fact that those who paid are now being
Kidnapped.
abducted and more money being extorted from them.
them.
Just on that, my caution is this. If you see anything called ADF, open your eyes to fraud. Anything associated with ADF is fraudulent and meant to help the government. The central issue you ask is, when these people paid, whoever paid, they'll give me a receipt. The receipt is a piece of paper. It's not a bag, it's not a motorcycle. He puts it in his wallet. How did they identify some of them on one spot to be catching some of them now in block? It's not something somebody was walking down the street and say, "Where is my tax are paid?" No. How did it happen that they could identify these payers?
Okay, so to clarify that part, this is what they do. These colonial forces go in disguise, find out from people your receipt of the so-called Ambazonian liberation tax. And when you're gullible or not wise enough to show it to them, they target you for abductions. And then if you actually don't, we believe the forces of occupation are in collaboration with the ADF. If you don't, they certainly send the ADF to you for you to pay that tax. And when you do, it's more like a cycle of extortion and like there is no way out for the civilian population.
I think I understand you very, very well. I understand you perfectly well. But what I'm saying is that these are all things managed by ADF and government to create extortion camps for them.
Right.
That's exactly what they're doing. But remember that a lot of this extortion and taxes, the majority of it up to this point, was extortion essentially in Momo. It's just going to Bamenda now. But they are now carrying thousands, hundreds of people in Bamenda town, a big city like that. And say, well, who knows? It could just be that they manufacture a piece of paper and put in their bag, because in Cameroon, when they catch you, Janda or whoever, you want to be free. And they put the tax for you're going free, even if they cut you for nothing. And so, what I've said in my earlier statement is, when you see anything ADF, you have to be very, very careful. ADF orchestrated this thing, handed it to government. You see, what's the overall goal? The overall goal is to show that the Ambazonian fighters, as ADF call it, freedom fighters, are hurting the people. Let the people turn on against the struggle. That's the basic thing.
Right.
That's the basic thing. That's the goal. That's the essential goal. Because Choyaba and his team are recruited just like the Boros who said, to execute a plan for the government to bring harm to these poor citizens, for them to rise against our legitimate military fighters, our legitimate freedom defenders. And so you see pure agent, just like the Boros will do anything, they will come down and kill you, and so the government can intervene, they will come down and do anything to you. The ADF has used this ploy of liberation tax as a ploy to bring hardship on the people. The same thing will go to the issue of taxi call change. I've said this before when we discussed this in last week. When you go to taxi callers, if you go to Bamenda, and I'm sure most of us know Bamenda, Bamenda is a very, very big city. I'm sure there are no less than 500 taxis in that town, painted all in yellow. How does Choyaba and his people identify 1, 2, 3 taxis to ban them for not being in black, in white? How does he do it? It is a ploy. And then, of course, based on what happened last week, 2 weeks ago about the taxi guy, the elites, most of who support the government, they now say, okay, we'll buy you a new taxi, so that you are no longer a victim of these criminals, as they call us, separatist criminals. Last night, again, I'm sure this is the news. Last night there was something at the hospital junction, what they call it there in Bamenda, where they burnt 3 taxis. Why these 3 taxis? Why? There are hundreds of other taxis flying in the town, in yellow. Then the ADF, they have all the agents on the spot there. We come and orchestrate these things to bring harm, to bring the pain to the population, so that the population may rise against the struggle. That's all what it is about. We have all described that thing as criminal on the side of Ayabacho. He is a criminal by our own definition. And we are sure that he is not going to go unpunished if he ever steps foot on Amazonia. So we know that it's a crime. He's not a better criminal than his colonial governor, or than the colonial duo, or than the colonial city mayor. They are all in the same path. They all fit in the same pot of criminality on ordinary people, on civilians. Not for any crime committed by the people, but because they want to use it to do something, which is part of national law penal code. It is part of the ICC code. It is part of so many international legislation. So that is all what it is about. Ayabacho and his likes and his agents, the bureaus and his agents, whatever they call it, the Tangaji boys, they will do all that, they will continue to do it. And so they are in the same camp. They are criminals. They are extorting money from where they are not supposed to extort. Even if those guys paid the money. If they paid the money, what crime did they commit against the Cameroon? That the gendarmes will come around and catch them. What's the crime that they committed? If you take out your money yourself and go and give it to a money doubler, what would they arrest you for? Unless those very people gang up, you go and make the report and say, these are all our receipts. And if they are reporters to the gendarmes or whatever they call it, they cannot catch you as someone who comes to complain. So, legally, the Republic security forces have no reason to go down arresting people who voluntarily or involuntarily paid taxes to Choyama, unless they go there and make a complaint. And if they make a complaint, then the complainants cannot longer be the victims that they will extort money from them. If they pay these taxes involuntarily, and then they say, well, we have a government here, gendarme, police, let us just believe in them. You go and report to them that somebody extorted money from me. This is the receipt. They should be looking for the guy, the extortionist.
Exactly.
Not you, the complainant.
Exactly.
Not you, the complainant. So what have they done?
Apparently, they're saying being Ambazonia is criminal from that action, arresting the supposed victim. So
what are you arresting them for?
Actually.
So that's over to you.
Actually. So that's just what they're pointing out, because, like you said, who goes to arrest the victim who was extorted at gunpoint instead of attacking the extortionists? Well, only with the French Cameroon military do we see this kind of situations. Well, with that, Barrister Bamenda Bar Mbeseha, would let you go and just get on to the African news report and the global news, and that will be it right after we go on the short break.